Hey guys, my name is Kurt Bantilan and welcome to the very first episode of Questions with Kurt, where I answer or try to answer and talk about some of life's questions that I think about. So for this first episode, the question that I want to ask and discuss is, how do you cope with the exhaustion of consuming endless news and social media stories that are filled with hate and conflict? So this is something that I've been thinking about a lot lately, because it seems like every day there's a new story that's either something ridiculous that's happening in the political world, or hateful people in public, on public transportation, on the road, in grocery stores. And as much as I try to kind of just inform myself about these things, I feel myself getting tired, exhausted, and sort of somewhat depressed after a while, right? I think the key word for me is finding balance. Balance in the sense that the balance between staying informed versus my own mental health, because I want to find a balance between living my life, living my best life, but also making positive change. And the only way to make positive change is to know what's going on and know what's out there. One temptation that I have is really to just ignore what's going on and like shut off my phone, my computer, my iPad or whatever, and not look at the news or don't watch the videos, because I know it'll make me feel bad afterwards. But I don't think that's the right solution. The extent to which you can ignore what's going on in the world around us is really based on in your level of privilege, really. If you're privileged enough to not have any of this stuff affect you, that says something about your level of privilege. Yeah, because I mean, life is about doing what you want and moving forward, and like I said, living your best life. And we all have jobs, all have dreams, all have goals that we need to keep doing. We need to keep going on with our lives. We can't just we can't just stop. But at the same time, all this, sometimes it feels like, to me anyway, it feels like the world is slowly crumbling, and we're sort of descending into this kind of not so good place of hate, distrust, and kind of everyone for themselves. So finding a balance between that, I think, is the key to coping and not feeling exhausted. We should do what we can do, but also staying safe is the most important thing. But in terms of coping with the exhaustion, I think I try to take a break and kind of do some self-care if I can afford to do so. Sometimes I can't, sometimes life's too busy, and it's hard to take a step back and do what I need to do to take care of myself mentally. I try to take a break and just kind of, it's okay sometimes to shut off from it all and take care of yourself, and then regroup and then go back out there when you're feeling like you can. An important aspect of that is knowing yourself and knowing what your limits are, know when you've reached your limit. So when you have reached your limit, then you know to take a break and take care of yourself. In order to create that balance between staying informed and mental health, one of the things I think is important is to learn how to process the information in a way like watch the news, watch the videos, know what's going on out there, inform yourself and educate yourself, but do it in such a way that you process the information without internalizing the trauma, and in internalizing that trauma, cultivating hate and anger within yourself as well. I think that's something I know I'm guilty of when I watch these horrible videos of people being hateful to one another, or watching the news of things that are going on and feeling like your rights are getting taken away from you. I know it's hard it's easier said than done. It's easier said than not to take it personally, not to internalize it, and not to build up that emotional baggage. But I think to be able to go at this in the long run, and not to kind of burn out, and not to feel exhausted, and not to feel to lose hope. I think cultivating that skill of processing the information, staying informed, staying educated, and not internalizing the trauma, because like as people, as human beings, I think there's only so much trauma we can take. There's the trauma that we experience in our own lives, but for me anyway, I see myself as a very empathic person. Every time I see the videos of like for instance families being separated, or kids being abused, and/or regular people on the streets getting attacked by arguably mentally unhealthy people who are full of hate themselves. It takes a toll on me. It takes a toll on me emotionally, and I wouldn't be able to keep going on with my life if I internalized everything and kind of let it sit there and not process it in a way that lets me move forward. One thing that I take away, I try to take away from all this in terms of silver lining of what's happening in the world right now, is that people are more aware. And the reason why I think people are more aware is that speaking from my personal experience, that I'm more aware. Prior to the 2016 elections, I was very complacent, and I thought the world was going in the right direction. I just needed to sit on society's coattails and my rights wouldn't be stripped. I'd keep getting more rights and everyone was in a good place. There was and I thought, oh, there's some bad seeds out there in the world, but there are always going to be bad seeds. But they're the minority. They're getting fewer and fewer, and we are winning. It's just everyone's on the right side of history. But right now, maybe that's not the case. Maybe that's maybe it's not so good to be so complacent, and the rights that I have as a minority in many senses are provided to me now because of hard work from people in the past. And so I don't want to be so complacent. I think more and more people now are becoming aware, and also people who were on the fence about a lot of social issues are now emboldened to stand up for other people and stand up for people who are oppressed because of the things that they see happening around them. Just to wrap up, I think for me, besides what I've talked about already, finding the balance and self-care and learning to kind of process the information without internalizing it too much, is I try to take a step back from my life, and try to take a step back from the stories that I'm seeing, with all the hate and the conflict, and try to reestablish what I think my purpose in life is, and because I think that really helps ground you and put things in perspective and not be too overwhelmed. Again, this is speaking to my own privilege, and that I am, comfortable. I have male privilege. I live in a society that's relatively peaceful, and I'm comfortable in terms of my socioeconomic status. Taking a step back really helps ground me and not let the news of what's happening around the world, which is horrible at times. I acknowledge that those people who are being affected cannot take a step back because it is affecting them every single day. For those of us who want to do good and who want to help but feel powerless to do so, I think taking a step back and really remembering what your your goal in life is, what your purpose in life is. Hopefully it's to do good. But you know, some of us have families to raise, some of us have really difficult jobs to do, some of us you know, have people to take care of, people who are dependent on us, and some of us have dreams that we're pursuing. Just remember that, and try to remember that, you know, we're all, you know, little tiny cogs in this one big machine called life, and try to do your best to do good, but take care of yourself so that you're in this fight for the long run. Anyway, that wraps up my first episode of Questions with Kurt. Please comment below about anything that I've said or anything that I haven't said or failed to mention. Please tell me what questions you want me to talk about or address, or questions you have, and I'll get to it in subsequent episodes. But until then, take care. Bye.